Good evening. Welcome to 5 Day with Jay. We're trying something a little bit different tonight. I've moved the camera, as you can, if you've been following along at all, you might be able to tell. The microphone's a little bit further away, so there might be some echo. If there is, we'll work on correcting that, but we should have sound. Let me check. Hold on, I'll be right back. Check 1, 2. Yes, it does appear that we have sound. Welcome to 5 Day with Jay. I'm Jay. How are you this evening? Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad you're here. As I said, trying something a little bit different. I don't know how it's going to sound, but we'll find out. I'll listen to this after I record it and get it uploaded. Just trying different things. That's what I'm going for here. I've hit a bit of a rut. I don't know why. Can't explain it. I'm chugging away. I'm still getting a little bit of writing done every day. I'll be doing a little bit of writing after this. I got chapter 3 of Jack Kane back to my co-author Mike Plested. Everything's looking good there. I am really, really happy with the way my writing has been going, not just this year, but the way I've seen it progress, the way I've seen my writing change over the years. I'm very happy with the way that it's coming out. I have always enjoyed the stories I've told, the characters I've created, the dialogue that I do. Some of the things I believe I've been missing over the years are minor that took me a while to figure out. And I believe it was while I was doing Almost Superheroes 1 and 2 that I really started to figure stuff out. I really, really like V&A Shipping 3. Those 3 books will be coming out in that order. Almost Superheroes 1 and 2, then V&A Shipping 3, then GRPC 3. Very happy with the way those books came out and the way that Giant Robot Planetary Competition Book 3 is coming out. Something, I don't know if it's because I'm reading so much more or I'm writing so much more, but something has definitely changed with the way my writing goes. Reading Jack Kane, the chapter 1 and chapter 3 that I did with my co-author Mike, I'm very happy with the way those chapters came out. I do need to go back and do some little nitpicking with them. That's just the way writing seems to work. When I write chapter 5, I'll be going back through chapter 1 and chapter 2, and of course I'll be reading chapter 1 and chapter 3, and of course reading Mike's chapter 2 and chapter 4 again. But I'm not going to go through all of them every single time, but I know there's some stuff I need to clean up in chapter 1, minor things. I know there's a little bit I need to do in chapter 3, but the story's already rolling along. I'm really happy with the way it's going. I'm very happy with the way it's progressing. It's a fun story. Jack Kane is a fun character to write. Being that not many people watch this, I can let you know that there will be a new point of view that I will be writing this time around, and that will be from the point of view of Betsy. Elizabeth Wilkes is Jack Kane's love interest in the books. I'm going to be putting her point of view in there now. Mike currently has Felonius, Bennington, and Lenny and Squiggy as his 3 different points of view. I've only ever had Jack. So now I'm going to have Betsy in there as well. One of the other things that we did a little differently, if you've read books 1 and books 2, there's a little running gag with the dog. The running gag will continue in book 3. It's just fun. It's funny to me. Just having fun with the dog. We'll continue to have fun with the dog in the upcoming book as well. Hudson is a fun dog. He does good things. Going back to GRPC 3, as I said, I will be doing a little bit of writing tonight. I was writing on it over the weekend, as well as picking away at Jack Kane 3. It's interesting that I'm writing 2 third books in the series. Honestly, it's weird in the fact that I've never gotten this far in a series. I've always written the first book in a series and never continued. And then I would write the second book, and people had lost interest because I had written the second book so long after I'd written the first book. It's refreshing to be writing a third book. V&A Shipping 3 was an exciting book. GRPC 3 is going to be an exciting book. Almost Superheroes 3 is going to be an exciting book. All of these are building up together to build a bigger story arc than what I've done in any of the individual books. Each individual book is a full story. If you pick up the book or read just one series, you'll get a full story. The characters that come in are of interest from the other stories, but not required reading. Again, all 3 series, all 4 books in each 3 different series, that's 12 books, will lead into the military sci-fi series that I want to write after this is done, which will give 4 books across 4 series, 16 books total. It's coming together, it's taking shape. I'm getting more excited every time I sit down and write and put words down. This is something different than I had ever planned. Again, like this setup, things change. You move stuff around. You sit in a different position. You look at it. When it comes to writing, it's easy to get into a rut. As I said, over the weekend, I sat down and played Among Us because my writing computer, sometimes I game on it as well. I've got a work computer. When I'm sitting at that computer over there, I work. That's all I do. The home computer, it's the home computer. It's the email. It's the social media. It's doing the videos. It's gaming. It's bass practice. And it's also the writing computer. Some of the things I need to work on is, okay, when am I scheduling the time for each specific activity? And focus on that activity. Would I love to have a completely separate computer for writing? Of course I would, but I'm not going to spend money on another computer when I just spent a good amount on this computer, which is my dual computer. So I'm thinking about doing different things with my computer to make it easier to focus on writing when I sit down at this computer. For example, I can disconnect it from the internet. I can create a separate logon. I can do all kinds of things to make it so that I have a writing specific area on the computer. I'm probably not going to do that right now because as it is, after I do these videos, I do the blog and I'm primed to do some writing. Last night, after I finished doing the video, I did the blog, probably 500, 800 words on the blog, and then sat down and cranked out somewhere around 1,500 words in Jack Kane and got that chapter done. It was a fun chapter. It was little things popping in there, and I introduced a problem I didn't know how to solve, and then I solved it, and as soon as I solved it, I'm like, oh, this is going to come in handy much later in the book. Jack Kane, to a degree, are mystery books. Jack Kane is an inept detective who solves mysteries in an unorthodox way, usually solving the wrong mystery that he thinks he's solving to find the correct solution. And that's what makes these books so much fun is how can I set him up to solve the wrong problem and then give him the correct problem or the correct solution in the end. So he starts going one way and he comes back around to the correct solution. That's kind of the way Jack Kane books move. Misdirection. It's fun. Obviously, the reader, as they're reading, knows what's going on because that's the felonious side. Felonious is moving things in one direction. Jack is moving in another, and they come together at the end. It's fun. It's entertaining. It's a great way to do these books. It makes them fascinating, in my opinion, to write. As far as the writing, there's the je ne sais quoi. The little bits that I've been missing in my writing, especially my earlier writing. I had a tendency to write short, choppy paragraphs, short, choppy sentences, and things just bump, 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 bump. As the quote says from Mark Twain on this cover, you don't need flowery language to write a story, just tell a story. That's what I do. But there are other things that my stories have been missing that I'm working on introducing, that I'm working on putting into my writing. Those little things are a little more insight of what the character is thinking, a little more description of, for example, I spent a couple of paragraphs describing the train that Jack Kane was going to get on, his knowledge of the train and how lost he gets just looking at the train and focusing on the train, the passenger cars. He knows the diameter, the width of the tracks, the length of the cars. He knows what type of cargo goes on which type of trains, the tanker cars and the flat cars. I had fun looking all that kind of stuff up. And what are the dimensions of a standard train? And why would this train tend to be bigger? How large is the engine? How much weight can it pull? That type of stuff. That was the fun stuff to look up and include. That's the type of stuff that I never really included before. When it came to the giant robot books, I described how tall they were, but I never described how massive they were. How much did they weigh? How much displacement did they have? How bulky were they? It was just they were X tall. A lot of it was from the character's perspective of going around it and climbing up it and feeling things out and comparing them to the beings that were around him, most of them being aliens. How did they all relate together? How was it him getting inside of the robot to actually pilot it? But now, as I'm progressing through, I'm going to start including some more details. This can be explained in my writing by the main character, who was young in the earlier books, learning more about the competition he's competing in, learning more about the robots, spending some time studying and learning, reading, getting caught up on what are these robots about, who are these pilots, because he knows some of the pilots, but not a lot of them. It gives the character reason to do research, which gives me reason to include more detail in the books. And I believe that readers will enjoy that level of detail that's been missing from some of my earlier books. Again, not going back to the old stuff and rewriting it and including that stuff. Those books are done. I've moved on. The story I still believe is enjoyable without that level, but I'm upping my game. I'm not going to become one of these writers that becomes so obsessed that thinks that the more I include, the better it's going to be. Prime example, Dan Brown. Angels and Demons was a really good book. It had a specific level of detail that made the book good, but there were some critical flaws in the plot line. When it came to the Da Vinci Code, there was more detail in that book, more for the main character to go and investigate and look up, that elevated that book to a higher level, and it was well written. It was far better written than Angels and Demons. Then we get to the next book, which, for the Da Vinci Code, he obviously did a lot of research. Dan Brown did a significant amount of research in that book. The book, I don't even recall the book that came after it, but there was just so much data dumping that it seemed like if he researched it, it went into the book. It didn't matter how minute it was, it went into the book. And for me, it made the book challenging to read because it was like I stopped caring. I was just getting hit over the head with so much detail and so much back research that it didn't matter anymore. That was the last book I read by Dan Brown. I believe he's come up with another one, and I might have bought it, but I never read it because that third book that I read of his, it just stuck as something I couldn't get past. I don't want to get to that level where I'm just info dumping so much on the reader that the story gets lost in the mix. The story is still about the characters. It's still about moving them forward in the story. What is the bigger picture, not what is the most granular detail that I can do. That's what I'm going for. Working on improving my writing. Every time I sit down and write, I'm thinking, I'm having fun writing the story. This is going really well. When I'm not writing, I'm thinking, what can I do to improve next time I sit down at the keyboard? And this is why I'm doing courses. I'm taking lessons. I'm watching videos on writing. I'm watching the 20 books to 50K series on YouTube. I'm following numbers of authors who are professionally published. By professionally, I mean they're making a living at it. I don't mean they went to a publisher and got a book published. And I follow a significant number of authors, both traditionally published and indie published, who are making a living doing what they're doing. I'm trying to follow in their shoes career-wise. When it comes to writing, on paying attention to what they're saying and what are they doing and how are they focusing on their writing to build their career. Because that's where I eventually would love to get to. I would love to have a career in writing. To do that, I've got to mix things up and change things. If it's not working, I need to figure out what's not working. At any rate, don't forget, we dropped the paperback version of gRPC 2 today. Go get yourself a copy. It's awesome. Ebook is still out there. It's up on Kindle Unlimited. If you want to read it for free, sign up for my newsletter. Say you want gRPC 1. I will send you gRPC 1 and 2. I might even send you VNA shipping 1 and 2 if you want them also. If you've already signed up for the newsletter or you don't want to sign up for the newsletter, just drop me an email, j@ofgnomesandwarves.com. Email's down in the description. If you need a book to read, let me know. I would love to send you something to read. All I ask is for an honest review up on Amazon when you're done reading it, or Goodreads, or wherever you post reviews. At any rate, we've been rambling for a long time. This has been 5 A Day with Jay. I've been Jay. You've been awesome.